I plan on finding time to stretch my arms in the position of a person being crucified. I often think of the physical benefits because I do this every day, stretching. And I wonder if Christ implied it as, crucify yourself daily, spiritually and physically. It's possible. Then I wrote down, what form is water divided from? I'll repeat that one. What form is water divided from? Because Christ divided the waters during creation. Poison Ivy League leaders pose nude for racist white professors since their beginning, since the early 1800s. I know people are changed by his spirit. How much is not my responsibility, but it is my concern. The Father has made it my obligation to put the word out there again. Welcome everybody to Mud Flood was Armageddon. The Mud Flood was the Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. You want to see a disclaimer? Nah, I don't want to show it either. But hey, we do what we got to do. There's the original photo, and this is much more extensive than the 1940s and the 1970s. They're going to try to pin it on, oh, one guy was a racist. Oh, I forgot to show the pictures before I get into the thing. I did show the disclaimerage. I can look here and see, looks like I'm sharing the screen. Let's see. Got that, got that. Hey, this is worth $4,000 on the Antiques Roadshow. I got to make sure I'm sharing the screen because when I look at it, it shows that, well, it should show the pictures. This is worth $4,000. It's carved wood, but because it's old and proves something. Look at it. These bureaucrats in China had the audacity and the concept of choosing other bureaucrats by merit rather than by birth. It was early in the Chinese history they were going after that. The first session mounted archery, if you were going to get passed in to be one of their leaders, you would have had to been shooting 3 arrows on a horse charging towards a target. It takes both hands to shoot a bow, people. So I guess you're just grabbing that thing with your ankles and, just hanging on. Target was, a 1.5 foot man. Wow. Go, Speed Racer. Chinese history. They had to line up to do it. They were doing acupuncture, gold and silver needles. And, of course, most people didn't use gold and silver, but still, how do you get that refined and pure and know all the locations for your lymphatic system? I'm worried if I'm sharing. Is all you're seeing is are you seeing any of the pictures? I see two people. If you could help me out there. They're not saying we can't see what you're talking about, but I can't see the screen when I'm sharing. Let's go back to those pictures. We'll make that one. There it is. I can tell now, see, because I made it a little bit smaller. Look at that. Yeah, go ahead. Put that needle in it. A lot of times, I guess Otzi the caveman, he had tattoos of where to put, it's like he had rheumatitis, arthritis, something, and he had mark. When I get a chance, don't miss it. Do it here. Mariolatry is out of control. It's a sign that uh, ISIS, worshiped the female god who kept the family together. Virgin of Guadalupe. Still a big thing. Here's a big book, doesn't get much publicity. These all the leaders, all of them, both parties, the people that made it to the presidency, and even the ones who only made it as talk show hosts. If you went to any Ivy League school, male or female, you had to pose nude with metal clamps on you because they were checking your posture. Yeah, sure. When it was their turn, they stripped down completely naked, and photos were taken from the front, side, and back, while each student had metal pins fixed to their body. Turns out the guy was a racist. There they are enjoying you're going to be the stars of the future. I think they had segregated colleges back then, but the Wesleyans, they were into it. Their ultimate idea of the objective of some somatrotyping program, open quote, is to learn enough about human heredity to enable us to control and limit the production of stupid people. The organisms is what they're calling other humans. They're not human if you can't afford it, man. They destroyed a lot of things because they're like, oh, he's too racist. Does a moth and a butterfly retain memories of being a caterpillar? Well, yes, they do retain some. They don't know how because they turn into soup, but then during complete metamorphosis, that was like a half, almost like didn't know if I was going to hiccup or something. Most of the caterpillar's body is broken down, rebuilt into an adult form. We'll look at how they do that with disc breaks. No, they discs break off and then go on the outside. They're on the inside of the butterfly, no, the caterpillar. And then later it turns into the wings of a, no, it turns into the legs. We'll look it up. But anyway, I thought it was interesting that certain brain structures, like in the mushroom bodies, and maybe that has something to do with why some people can't handle and they start talking to demons and insane. From what they admit with their own mouths, it's in crazy. This was not due to residual chemicals from the larval environment, larval, but rather the survival of intact neural connections. Your mind should be officially blown. Yes, moths and butterflies can retain some memories. Mushroom bodies. I'm going the wrong way. Oh, man. Hey, here's a century old question. You get this to look forward to. It's a little bit confusing, but I like the way it says these creatures literally dissolve into soup and yet somehow hold on to their memories. misty memories. What happens in this? It's a regulated process of what we want. Apoptosis, not necroptosis. Tosis. Necrotosis. Apoptosis is when you just you'll go away, dissolve and go away. The other narcoleptic type is when you just get spattered into the cell membranes. That's the original photo right there. That's what I made it into. That means it's time to look at anything I have. So I wondered if this is all, if there was anything. I mean, like really, no, they want a complete. Now it's put on a lady's dress. What type of humiliation, ritual is it when you show up at Harvard from Nebraska and they go, take it off, boys and girls? It was, yeah, I know they probably sold some of these pictures, as you can see. People are very suspicious. Let's see what we have here. I was seeing somebody talk about what they thought was Satan. Have you ever considered in the book of Revelation, it says that Babylon this, Babylon that, Babylon this, and Babylon, which is symbolically Jerusalem, that is something that, needs to be brought into the consideration. Sheol beneath is stirred up. Verse 9, Isaiah chapter 14 starts. It then continues to meet you when you come. It rouses spirits or demons to greet you, all who were leaders of the earth. It rises from their thrones, all who were kings of the nations. Satan is using them right now because after his prison sentence, he is mono focused on deceiving nations. He had to form them. He has help. Verse 10, all of them will answer and say to you, you too have become weak as we. You have become like us. Your pomp is brought down to Sheol. The sound of your harps, maggots are laid as a bed beneath you, and worms are your covers. There's no cool side of the pillow on that one, is there? Verse 12, how you are fallen from heaven, O day star, son of dawn, how you are cut down from the ground, you who laid the nations low. Those people that are helping them, they're going to be very sad. 13, you said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven above the stars of God. I will set my throne on high. I will sit on the mount of the assembly in the far reaches of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will make myself like El Elyon, the Most High, God the Most High, but you are brought down to Sheol, to the far reaches of the pit. Those who see you will stare at you and ponder over you. Is this the man who made the earth tremble, who shook kingdoms, who made the world like a desert? So it wasn't a desert. Some men or some demons or their helpers made it like a desert and overthrew its cities. Who did not let his prisoners go home? All the kings of the nation lie in glory, each in his own tomb, but you are cast out away from your grave. So this, is a mixture of talking to, this taunt, king of Babylon. Pretty crazy. You made the world like a desert. But you are cast out away from your grave like a loathed branch, clothed with the slain, those pierced by the sword, who go down to the stones of the pit. Like a dead body trampled underfoot, you will not be joined with them in burial because you have destroyed your land, you have slain your people. What kind of stones in the Bible? I am curious. I have un momento. 273, 29 of these are the grave, engraved, setting stones, onyx stones, how you stones of memorial, looking like nicer stones. I'm thinking, for memorials and things like that. But where's the stones in here? Just weights and balances, just fairness and purity. Oh, huge stones, lay the foundation. Okay. It seems to be a set apart special stone, which, that is pretty good. Let's look at Ezekiel 23. He throws in, is it 27? Well, we'll see. He throws in his 2 cents about Satan. And he also says, a lamb and Tyre over a city. I'm perfect in beauty, comparing Tyre to, you know, borders in the heart of the sea. This is all pretty earthy. Tarshish, is that Tartaria? It almost has to be. There's Jovel, Tubal. So they had all of the fineries of life, but it takes a turn. So let's go look at 23. I think that's still. Well, we'll have to refresh our memories. No, that's a whole and a whole about. What is the other one for Ezekiel where it talks about the Satan? I know there's one in Isaiah 14. Well, I'll look it up and have it for tomorrow if nobody wants to put it in there. I do want to remind of Jeremiah 51 at the very end. Double check I'm sharing the screen there. Are you guys seeing that? You who dwell by many waters, rich in treasure, your end has come, the thread of your life is cut. The Lord of hosts has sworn by himself. So we're in the middle of a judgment. It is he who made the earth by his power, established the world by his wisdom, and we love him. We have faith in him that he has wind in his storehouse while they're sneaking ways to take pictures of the freshmen. We forget how bad we were before the Spirit changed us and we started, trying to get better. But from the very beginning, it's been building up for war. Now, I hope you're ready to not study war no more because break the nations. With you, I destroy the kingdoms. It's going to be very, very bad. Moving on with the show. Here's some of the pictures of when they lined up imperial examinations at certain points in history. Everyone, it seems, gets tired of the patronage system, which means, you pay somebody to get a job and they get elected, you vote for them. But when they change parties, you lose your job and they get a new head of the license bureau where you get your cut on how many you sell. So those part of the examination stations, you have to be smart. They were working hard because they knew they needed it. And yet, some people still manage to bilk the system, cheat the system, pay bribes. It- they have, well, we have Chicago where Mayor Daley's son, who took over after, well, anyway, they did like 4 decades of my life as mayor. He had somebody take his lawyer test, the bar examination, because he failed it. And if he failed it again, he wouldn't be able to do it. And he got caught, but he still worked his way up district attorney, mayor for life. So when were they built? It was a long time ago or recently. They kept it going, they say, for all of their history with only some interruptions. Man, that's big. All societies try to change, they always fail because of the human inclinations. Now, that's a lot, isn't it? These are all points and names of your acupuncture points. Look at it. And the name of this is yang yang, linking to gallbladder. This one, abode of thought, stomach granary, vitals gate, willpower room, middle bone hole, lower bone hole. They got a same. They got to have a lot of needles, don't they? Heavenly appearance, heavenly window, heavenly gathering. I'm saying it might work if you got something, but I'm not. I'm saying if they're going with that Buddha thing, that's not going to get it. How could and what's in the world has people, you see Saint Winifred's Holy Well, and he's there like, well, maybe it's not that hard to believe she got her head put back on by a miracle. Everybody's falling back in love with the Rome and Isis, and pretty soon they'll be standing around chanting, "Great is Artemis of Ephesus."
dismiss it instantly. But it's not Monty Python, because to lose one's head speaks of something tremendously deep. The head is the seat of reason, my vision, my identity. It has my face, what makes me me, my mind to think and act in the world, to order the rest of my body. It's what holds the person together. And Winifred wanted to follow God. And as a consequence, the world of the
Yeah, it's all a joke. You know what this reminds me of is people who tell their children about Santa Claus, and when the children found out they're lying, but they also told them about God, what the rest of their life they're suspicious about everything that they've heard. Uh, serve as a copy and shadow of things in heaven was enjoying Hebrews right before I decided to make a show today. Here you go. Look at that. Holometabolus it.
Flies, moths, beetles, flies, bees, and others go through complete metamorphosis, where they undergo a drastic bodily transformation by way of a pupal stage. Much more drastic than my teenage change in music taste. It was never a phase, Mom! And metamorphosis is extremely common. More than 80% of animals go through some degree of change throughout their lives. For insects, this number is more like 98%. Most scientists think it's an evolutionary strategy used to keep the amount of resource competition way that a butterfly should remember being a caterpillar. It melts into goop when it transforms and loses all its brain connections. The butterfly, of course, remembers anyway, because butterflies don't care what humans think is impossible. No, this entire
and
trained to avoid the smell of ethyl acetate by giving them a mild electric shock whenever they came close to it. When those larvae matured into moths, the adult moths also avoided the smell of ethyl acetate. Seems like they remembered their little adventures just fine. Which begs the question, if they don't even share the same brain, how do the lessons of the juvenile carry over into the understanding of the adult?
It's a mystery. Hey, maybe here's those discs. Imaginal discs turned out to be real. Look at that. That turns into his legs. This one here. I wouldn't have guessed that. I would have thought that turned into his wing. But that's these little brown ones. Huh. Weird. Huh. Very interesting. Very interesting. This guy, this picture of this, of a guy who discovered that, when do you think he drew this? Tab 14. What is it? When do you think he drew it? How could he see it? Must have had one of those if it's small as, let's say, non-hypothetically, it was the reproduction of a queen bee? He did it all. Right here, and whatever you want to believe this year is, and I'm sure that really looks like it fits right in with some of the high quality replacements. This is 1880. So 200 years after, they said, let's put up this crappy sculpture on a building, and we're rewriting history here. He did it. Wow, 1680. He could do this. He didn't need a quality. Let's see. Let's check their English. Nope, I'm not getting any TIFF files. They're too big. Let's go see what we got in the Bible. Here's a Bible verse I wanted to read. But Christ is faithful as son over God's house. We are his house if we hold firmly to our confidence and the hope of which we boast. I hope you're boasting in your confidence of the truth of Scripture. Is there no sound to this? I thought, is that the highest quality? Oh, it is a low quality thing. Thanks, Wikipedia. Shake it out. Wow, they do pop it right out there. And now I still have my memories. Please don't give me any electrical shocks. I'm not human. Little pictures of what we were talking about. You know that all the butterflies only lay their eggs on very specific bushes? That's why those butterflies return to Capistrano. They got a lot of the bushes there. What? Is that silk? No. What is that again? What's silk? Oh, is that one's moving? What are you doing? What are you doing? It's like almost like a snail. Look at you. Look at you. Wow. Couple more. Here, let's read some more Bible verses here. This is one of the words for form of. Miros. Morphe. A different form of. He existed in the form of God, form of God subsisting being in the form of God subsisting, Christ took upon him form of servant to the the example of Father, perfect Father in heaven, when he decides to come to heaven, live in his example, save an elect from their sins by showing the angels this is how a son acts. Not trying to take over because I said you can walk among the fiery stones. Morphe, plaso. This is like where you get the word plastic. If they be with feigned. They come up with their itching ears don't just, buy anything, So that was a form. Only one, 2 Peter 2:3. Suppose we'll look at it and then move on. 2 Peter 2:3. And in their greed, they will exploit you with false words. Their condemnation from long ago is not idle, and their destruction is not asleep. They're setting you up. You're the long con. Oh, yes, I'll love you forever. Here's another one. The verb behind Strong's 4141 conveys the skilled work of a potter. Well, he's the potter. We are the clay. Is this another fabrication, molder, plastic? And that is where they get the word for plastics. Will you say to the God who formed you, why'd you make me like this? No, you won't. You'll live up to whatever you're a seed planted in soil, given talents. Maybe it's written on your heart, I think I can do this. I think I can do it. Well, the last chapter 4 of the epistle of James says, to know to do good and do it not is sin. That's the true interpretation of the golden rule. Plaso. There's more ways of being formed, taking the form of a bondservant, morphe. That's not the 2 Peter, another form into 2. So that's Mark 16. So even though he existed in form of God, and we can get two of those uses right there with Philippians 6 and 7, who, though he was form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, emptied himself by taking form of servant, born in likeness of men. Let's look at likeness. Very man-like word. So it's not one they want to show you when you do this. Abstract resemblance. An image is form of an idol. It's a metaphorical type usage. The best you can do to describe it, The appearance of locusts, maybe the way the birds can do that swarming, it's like locusts do it. Something weird going on there though, huh? Here's another word of form. They have a form of knowledge, a form of godliness, still based on metamorphosis. There's a bodily shape, eidos. That's so you could, you know, the appearance of his face. That's a form, what it does look like. You know, this doesn't say a dove came down. It was a manifestation of the Spirit that came down as gently as a dove lands. So these words aren't used much, but it is this, you know, if it's written on your heart, you get it. Plastic, molder, 2 verses. Because he first did what to Eve? After he first did what to Adam in Genesis 2? After a great separation of time. Here's the racist who wanted the nude pictures of all the freshmen. He was just continuing the tradition from the early 1830s. He was obviously, they had to, things changed after World War II. So they had to say, you're anti Semitic. We're firing you. You can't work at Harvard anymore. And he's like, what? I don't care. I'll write books and other things because you got to do what they tell you. So super racist. The Ivy League scandal, men and women. Oh, I didn't know it was PG-13. Look at that. After the reset, nobody knew that how important posture was. Everybody still had scoliosis or something. I know I had better posture than most when I was young, but it's still, if I had my chin going down I'd be like one of those biminis, that's where your head is in your chest, people. You got to act like that's not a possibility. Ivy League nude photos, incoming freshman girls and boys, because they're those guys. Their favorites are Neil and Bob. The Seven Sisters, they all did it. All your abolitionists, women libbers, first wave feminists, eugenists, universally. They have some writings where they say, maybe not, maybe not. Look at her. She's all about it. No, she's not. They're all eugenics. It's a lot of them were early believers that in the disgraced theory that you could decide after birth you're really a woman. Of course, the people, all famous people, they all had to do it. We'll post nude. If I'm going to get into this school, and I'll do whatever you say for life. And they had metal pins on them. Those are pictures before and after the metal pins. Stand for the idolized feminine. That doesn't mean, that means one drop rule, you're out. The bell jar, that sounds a lot like the bell curve. Oh, just some poems from somebody crazy. But it always came back to, this is what they were doing on the Mary Rose. I think they found this cannon from a previous wreck and then put it on this wood and tried to put it on a ship. And, well, the Mary Rose, it was a big deal. And it crashed right in front of, let me just get Wikipedia. They said, we finally know how to build these big ships. We'll put these old cannons on it. We'll scare everybody because it's all about building up power. Power. Nobody was going to call me a sissy. Well, his ship crashed right in front of everybody, and it killed everybody on board. But they found it, and the weapons on it. Sure. Come on. But even their bow and arrows, humans in our age are not strong enough to use their bow and arrows. Excuse me. That's some pretty fine cannons that outdo a lot of the other things. Rewritten history, everybody. Rewritten history. Star Fort, baby, it's Star Fort World. Kind of looks like King Henry VIII, but it's not. Anyway, the big secret is after Satan is loosed, how did he get some of these royals? And they did try genetic mutilation or something, not mutilation, manipulation. Because here's something that most people don't know. Thank you, Richard. What was I going to say? I was thinking and then I lost track of my thought. There was something about the strength of the ships in the old days, but easy come, easy go. The 17th century. I wonder if I could refresh my memory looking at a few more pictures here. Look at that. It's Reset World. Backgammon. We get their games and they tell us they did it. Thank you, Lord. I looked over a few more pictures and I remembered I wanted to say that they have traced back the hemophilia to, I think, Henry VIII or something, one of the somebody that's known in history, one of the first sufferers, but they've also learned a lot more about hemophilia and that it skips a generation. But they're remarkable strong. Supposedly, you've seen the pictures of Henry VIII, I am big fat guy. When he was younger, supposedly with that full armor, he could run, jump onto his horse, hit that where you hit the rump of the horse and then you land in the saddle, full armor. They were using bows that professionals can't use. There was something different back then. They tried to manipulate genes. They didn't know about hemophilia. I don't think they understood leprosy. And I believe that, and I have seen the evidence leaning towards all white people have one of 5 stages of albinism that white is not. It is the mystery of the races of what the hell's going on. And then people tried to codify it in the 1900s with the one drop rule in racism. It was in Africa, it was here. The caste system enforced to this day in India. It's a messed up world. We're getting it figured it out. It is not the Epstein thing. It's how the Rome has used the Jesuits and the Freemasons, the secret societies, to come after your children when they're nude. And, you know, someone who was young, and I didn't believe it, but I was told, well, you're a handsome man. Sometimes I knew they were lying when I got older. But even if you're somewhat handsome, boy or girl, I know you know about the perverts. They hit on you. They're the weirdos. It's the sick people in the world. People were the problem. The world was flooded, not Nephilim. That's all I'm going to say about that. Thanks anybody who stuck around and watched this. It's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. Me and my friends never going to tell you anything else. Why would we? We're trying to prove that we have your best interest at heart. I'm not a computer. I'm not a computer. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakaman. Adios, amigos, from the border of southern Colorado and New Mexico. Sometimes I think computers are trying to act like you. You know that? And me. They're just trying to copy people and make us believe we're computers. You're not.